OG here, and as you can see, we have a very special video. This time of year is always amazing. Now, why is that? Because there's always something new and exciting coming out about the next release of FC. And the beautiful thing about this year is, one, I know for a fact, and I hope many of you have realized as well, that this next iteration isn't going to be like the past several years. It's going to be so much better. So already there, the excitement isn't with that thought in the back of your mind like, this is all cool, but the gameplay is going to be bad. Like, we know there's been significant changes. We know that not only is it going to be a much improved experience, it's actually going to be a fun football game, right? And for those of you who are still on the fence or who haven't really seen the footage or the leaks from the beta, even though I can't talk about the beta, just from those leaks alone, just from talking or hearing the content creators that played the game that could talk about it before the beta, ones that I trust, just from hearing them as well, all that information collectively, and I can assure you guys, those who, don't see what we've seen, many of us have seen, I can assure you, you have nothing to worry about. This is going to be an awesome FC26. And to top it off, they did a heck of a job with this year's icons. So, without further ado, we're going to look into every single icon. We'll check out the release. We'll check out the little tidbits, if you will, that EA Sports released on each icon. But then we're going to look at each player in depth, including getting to see them in their real life top form, right? I always think that FC misses out on that part, right? I always think that they kind of downplay a little bit how good these icons really were, and showing these incredible players in real life more would do them a tremendous amount of justice, right? And you'll see what I mean as we watch these highlights. There's some players, especially the younger players, without a doubt, that don't even understand how good some of these players were. They just know them with regards to how they play within FC. And unfortunately, the one thing in FC, hopefully this changes, right? But one thing in FC is that many times the icons are done dirty, again, for lack of a better term, right? This man right here, Iniesta, I hope he's done better than his buddy Xavi, who never is, on the pitch in FC as much of a important player as he was in real life, right? It doesn't translate for Xavi. And there's other heroes and icons where it's the same thing. So let's hope that changes. Maybe this is a year where it changes. I can tell you the game, as far as like passing goes, has improved tremendously. And so we have to just kind of see how it plays out. But I absolutely could see more of a place for players like Iniesta and Xavi and these more pass-first players that really can turn a game on its head just from their vision, just from their ability to connect passes, right? Not from their speed or their strength or their shooting, from literally their vision and their ability to connect passes that other players can't connect, and to see the passes that other players can't see. So let's hope players like this, as well as the other icons and heroes that have been done dirty in the past, let's hope that changes. But nonetheless, it's an incredible list, and we're going to get into it right now, starting with the little icon video. Let's see how EA Sports did here. I haven't seen this yet, so literally I will be reacting with all of you.
What a goal by Francesco Totti!
Oh, you know what, chap? Chiellini has to be in there. One of the best to ever defend in the game. Tony Cruz is in me, chap.
What?
Come on, EA Sports. Andres Iniesta in FC Mobile.
He's an absolute maestro.
Yes! I've been wanting him. My favorite keeper of all time. And he scared me too. I've said it in the past on stream. I feel the same.
What a take by Marcelo.
Oh man, I love it.
We've got a message from Mbappe.
Wrong game, bro.
No matter what they say, Zlatan is back. The icon is yours.
It's a beautiful day to watch some icons play their football. This year's icons, the most fan-requested in history.
I love it, guys. I love it. All right. That's brilliant stuff. Again, though, the one thing I wish they did differently, the one thing I wish they would have added some real life highlights, right? I love the part with Khan scaring the guy, because I've said it in the past on streams, as you know, and if you don't, I'll tell you, I spent this year, just because FC25 was in a terrible place, playing all football games, really diving into every one. And one thing I loved, eFootball had Oliver Kahn. And I finally got him on my team and barely got to use him because I came back to FC. But I told the stories like Oliver Kahn was the one keeper that I always loved, right? I'm a striker, so I never really loved keepers, but he literally was the one football player, much less keeper, that scared me. Like, I was like, that dude will literally kill somebody. I felt bad when his defenders made a mistake because I thought he was literally going to eat him. So that was a cool little part where he scares the guy, and that's, perfect, man. Like, that kind of stuff is awesome. But again, I wish they added a little more highlights, real life stuff, but don't worry, I have you covered. How we're going to do this, we are going to go icon by icon, right? And we are going to go through each and every detail of that player. Now, will it translate on the pitch? That's to be determined. Like you heard me just say, in the past, they haven't done the best job with translating how good these players were. Not some of them they have, but not all of them. Translating how good they were and the way they played into the game. So let's see how they do this year. A little something that's interesting, though. There's no heroes released yet. You would think they would build up to the icons, unless they didn't add any heroes. Maybe they stayed put on the heroes, and just because they added so many amazing icons, they wanted all the focus on them. But you would think they would release the heroes first. So I'm willing to bet there's no new heroes. If you guys know something different, of course, let me know. But that's what it looks like. So let's get into it. First things first, we head here. Our first icon. Of course, you see a beautiful picture of the man Iniesta right there. He's joining his buddy Xavi. Hopefully, they both get their fair dues this year, because I promise you, passing is much improved, and it is very important. If you are a good passer, if you have good vision in FC26, you will succeed. I promise you that. I promise you. So, having a great passer, well, we just have to see how it translates, because that's where Xavi, he just wasn't defensively strong enough, wasn't strong enough on like the scoring goal side of it, and as good as he was at passing, like I said, it just didn't translate. So if it can, and you can add like a 3 midfield setup with Iniesta and Xavi with like an anchor type of, CDM number 6 player, oh, that would be incredible, right? So let's take a look. First, the American Alex Morgan, right? So you see here her debut and then her champion icon. So I like how they did this. This is something new. It's similar, right, where you have like, they used to have like 3 versions: the base, the mid, and then like the prime, or I forgot the names. Like we would call them baby Ronaldo, mid Ronaldo, prime Ronaldo, whatever. So it looks like they're doing something like that. They have the debut and the mid. Debut and the champion. I would not be surprised if that icon we get on day 1 is the debut icon. I'm almost guaranteeing it, which they said nothing about. That's a little misleading. That kind of gives you old EA Sports vibes, even though they seem to be turning a new page, so to speak. But I'm willing to bet, even though they didn't say nothing about it, we get the debut. That would only make sense. They'll still be a great player to have for the start, but I can't imagine giving us a 91 player on day 1. So that makes a little more sense. But an 86 Alex Morgan will still be incredible to get. So let's read what EA Sports says, and then we'll take a look at some highlights as we talk about it. And it does not have, notice it doesn't have the Playstyle Plus on the debut card. I'm sure they'll have one. It doesn't have any of that information, but you can get a good idea. After we watch the highlights, we'll kind of look at height and weight and all that stuff. Weight doesn't matter, obviously, but height and just like kind of their body type, guessing their body type, and And you can kind of see from the highlight part too. So Alex Morgan, a force on and off the pitch. Alex Morgan's trophy cabinet comes stacked with 2 trophies on the biggest international stage. An Olympic gold medal and the first ever National Women's Soccer League title with the Portland Thorns. From the West Coast to worldwide, Morgan began the U.S. Women's National Team title defense in 19 by netting 5 goals in a competition forever linked with her iconic tea celebration. You better believe that's in the game. After sending her team to the final with a leaping header. So, again, she's on the level of Mia Hamm. The argument would be who's better, her or Mia Hamm. You see the iconic tea celebration there, frozen in time. These icon cards, brilliant design as it is. So let's take a look at some highlights. Then we'll take a look. You know the women in general. I've said it before. If you haven't checked out my video, here's a little spoiler alert. I release who I believe is going to be the most OP players, and I believe it's going to be these type of women's players, right? By these types, I mean the smaller, compact women, which most of the time are, right? Those smaller, really agile players that even if they don't have the highest dribbling stats, their body type just works well with the dribbling in FC. And then when you add the new physical dribbling, right, which is super powerful, I'm sure they're going to nerf it a bit because it can get to the point where the defenders just like can't touch the attackers, right? So I'm sure they're going to nerf it a bit, but when you take the new physical dribbling stats with these women's players that are already smaller, better at dribbling, they're going to be OP, period, right? You're talking the way they do it, it's a relative thing. So if a women's player is like 5'6", and she's got 95 strength for a women's player, well, then that becomes her strength overall. So if Holland, let's say Holland's got 90 strength, and he's way bigger, and in real life, he'd mow, let's say, Alex Morgan over, but Alex Morgan has 95 strength to Holland's 90, even though she's much smaller, and it doesn't make sense for real life. The way they made women's players integrate so well is they made it relative. So in that case, Holland would get knocked off the ball by this little 5 foot whatever player, right? Now, a lot of people hate it because it's super unrealistic, but if you're going to add women in, and let's be honest, there are a lot of women's legends players, this was the only way to do it. They did it the best way possible. So yes, it's unrealistic, but with the way the game is, the fact that they're in the game, that is the players I would really go for, especially this year, right? So let's take a look at some of the best moments for Alex. There's some Alex Morgan stats for you, and let's go ahead and look real quick. Alex Morgan, height, weight. Let's see what we get here. So 1.7 meters. What is that? I need Alex Morgan 5'7", right? We don't really need the weight. 137 pounds. So you can see she's going to be really compact. Like I said, when it's done relatively, she's going to have that higher strength just with how she played. So at 5'7", she's going to have amazing finishing, amazing dribbling, and she's going to be strong. You're going to want Alex Morgan, probably over R9, Mia Hamm, all of them. I always liked Mia Hamm in the game, including in FC26. Maybe it will change this year, but there's something about her. There was that Smith English International too, but I would have rather had Sophia Wilson over any of them. It's just for some reason, I don't know if they nerfed some of them just because they understood how overpowered they were, but some of the women just, even though the stats would say otherwise, didn't feel as good. Deanna's another one. I never liked that Deanna, the French international. But anyway, I think Alex Morgan, if I had to guess, is going to be super OP. So moving on now. Of course, the man, the myth, the legend. Our first time seeing this card right here. His debut card's going to be an 86, 92, as opposed to Morgan goes 86 to 91. Obviously, you have the Ajax version as the debut, and then the PSG, as his champion card. Now, that could just be the picture, but nonetheless, either way, he's on the total opposite end of the spectrum from Alex Morgan. Big, strong, Holland-esque type striker. What I think is going to be the case, with Ibra is all of these physical dribbling and like the bigger players being more useful this year. I think all this is built around Ibra. And even when he had his special cards a few years back, right before his retirement, they were always very highly sought after and very powerful. So make no mistake, even though he's not that smaller, compact, strong player that I said was going to be OP, you get Ibrahimovic, you're in good shape. Not to mention, they have the ability to have those low-driven headers. Crosses, I don't think are going to be the most powerful, but there are going to be some goals, and you better believe Ibra is going to be one of those types of players that are knocking in headers, bicycle kicks, just any way you need to score, Ibra is going to be able to do it. So a conqueror of world football, Zlatan is no stranger to silverware. 2013 Puskás Award winner for an audacious bicycle kick against England. Obviously, that's iconic with Sweden. He's collected league titles in the Netherlands, Italy, Spain, and France. The Swedish sensation tops his nation's goal-scoring honors with over 60 goals in twice as many games, finishing his career with over 30 major trophies. Zlatan is one of the most decorated footballers on the planet. Obviously, one of the most popular as well. People are going to go crazy over this for sure. I like both of these cards without a doubt. Some very memorable times in his career, as if every moment of his career wasn't memorable, right? So we don't really need to do this, but we will anyway. Obviously, the PSG red kit's coming back, so how fitting was that? But nonetheless, I think Zlatan is a player just like R9, Messi, Ronaldo. There's certain players that they really focus on and try to translate how they played in real life, because obviously players are going to... I think he's going to be a very hard striker to deal with, and I think he's going to make her back because of him. And Allen's goal like that. So those type of acrobatic finishes and just crazy types of goals, they're going to be scored all over the place. I have a feeling that's going to translate very well. So we will see. What is Zlatan's height? Don't really care about his weight. 6'5", so obviously he's going to be a lengthy player without a doubt. Who knows? Maybe he's dribbling so high. Well, now they only have explosive, controlled, and lengthy. So I have a feeling there's no way Zlatan won't be lengthy, but at the least he'll be controlled, right? So we'll move on from there. And of course, Marcelo. You see the young Marcelo without the afro, the 85 rated, then 89 rated for his champion version, right? I love the contrast in the two. I think the 85 rated is going to be more elusive, right? More of a attacking type of wingback. And I think with the 89, if they go with the right, the way he played as he matured, if you will, depending when they top him out, right? These are just pictures, but I think he's going to go to more of a wingback that's capable of being an inverted wingback, which is on the attack will become like a cam or like a false back, right? Because he's very good on the ball. And then I think his younger card will be better at more of like an attacking wingback, right? Staying out wide, able to pass and cross and stuff, but really good at getting up and down the line. Not that his champion card can't be that, but I think that will be a contrast that they do. We'll have to see. So, successor to Roberto Carlos at Real Madrid, which is an insane honor, right? Marcelo became one of the best left backs in the history of the game. He left the Bernabeu with a haul of 25 trophies, including 6 La Liga titles and 5 UEFA Champions Leagues. Marcelo became a Madrid mainstay, making him the first foreign captain since 1904, before returning to Fluminense in the twilight of his career to claim the Copa Libertadores before hanging up his boots. Obviously, by the time he went back to Brazil, he was well past his prime, but just an insane leader, a well-liked player. Just like Roberto Carlos, man, it's insane. 2 Brazil left backs covering the vast majority of Real Madrid's history. It's insane. So it's only fitting that he's in the game, and this is going to be a great left back to battle with both Theo Hernandez and Roberto Carlos. Now, here's the thing. Roberto Carlos, I think as each game, transitions into the, each iteration has its own specialties, if you will. I think this game, more than many of the past years, is going to be fitting for players like Marcelo and even Roberto Carlos. Now, we've already seen the leaks, and you can see with Theo Hernandez, Theo Hernandez is going to be a beast again. Do I think Marcelo or Roberto can bypass Theo as the best left back in the game? That's a hard ask. I think Theo, pound for pound, is one of the best players in the game. For whatever reason, just the way his build works, along with his stats and everything, he's insane. Whether you play him as a fullback, an attacking wingback, which I think now the wingback, how you have him set role-wise, is going to be more diverse. You're going to have more ways to play them than just having to play him fullback. And I think they're going to be way more important than in past years too. So you never know. Marcelo could end up being a very important and expensive player without a doubt. We'll just have to see if he can surpass Theo as the most dominant left back, or maybe Roberto Carlos comes out of nowhere and takes back over and becomes truly the best left back. Because I always feel like he's a bit under it is the way he played in real life, and his importance didn't translate as it should have. I'll say that. All right, so let's take a look for those of you who don't know how this man plays. First thing you see there, he could have easily scored. Unselfish, giving the ball to Ronaldo towards the end of his career. Love these bluish purple kits, by the way. So you see, I was just talking about as he got into later years not being as much of an attacking wingback, and clearly I have to eat my words. But I'm just saying he didn't attack as much as he matured, and if you're looking for a contrast in the cards, that's how they would contrast it, right? Always a great passer, always a brilliant player, great positioning defensively, right? Not necessarily the most tough defender as far as physically. He was more like Maldini, just extremely smart, positioned himself very well, and I could see that being what they do for a contrast in each card. Or both of them are just going to be insane attacking left back type of players that are capable of doing this type of stuff. Whip crosses, driving the inline and laying balls across for tap-ins, stuff like that. So we'll see how it translates. Good year for him to come into the game, I'll say that. And of course, we already talked about him a bit. We'll go right into it because he needs no introduction. The debut version, 86, 92 for the champion, tied with Ibrahimovic at 92. Interesting that Marcelo goes down to the 89, right? 3 under both Iniesta and Ibra. So it says, a central figure in a midfield trio that defined the tiki-taka play of one of football's greatest ever teams. Little side note, I remember their golden era with Messi and everybody, Pep's golden era with this team. There was a rule in FIFA, 2 rules. You couldn't use Barcelona because they were just ridiculous. He was like a cheat. And you couldn't use Wayne Rooney. If you played as Man United, that was fine, but you had to sub out Wayne Rooney because that was the years he was like the cover star. And several years he was a cover star, right? Beating out many of these players. But he was just too good. He was like a superhuman, which he was my favorite player of all time. So that kind of sucked, but I used him plenty in career modes and stuff. But that's what I always remember as far as how this relates on the sticks, is that this team was so good you couldn't even play with them because it was like a cheat code, right? With an iconic Barcelona side, he won 2 historic trebles, 9 La Liga titles, and 4 UEFA Champions Leagues. He also guided a golden Spanish generation to back-to-back Euro wins, and scored a dramatic extra-time winner on the world stage in the 2010 final against the Netherlands. So brilliant stuff. Obviously a brilliant player. We're going to check him out. No, this is Marcelo. We already checked him out. We're going to check him out nonetheless. Just always brilliant. I mean, these years with Spain and Barcelona, it was incredible. Obviously, Messi not being part of Spain, it changed the dynamic for sure. Messi was a key cog, but make no mistake about it, they were all had their own specialties to make that Barcelona team the best team ever. Because that Spain team was pretty close, right? But you could tell without Messi how important he was, because the Spain team had all the top players from Real Madrid, Barcelona, and they still just weren't the same. But you better believe Iniesta was a huge part of how good Barcelona was and how good these Spain teams were. I mean, look at this vision. He's just an incredible player, incredible on the ball, and I truly hope him and Xavi both get their flowers, if you will, right? Iniesta in his debut year, and Xavi in his, however many years he's been an icon. Just good stuff. I could watch that all day. All right, Caroline Seeger. Now, I don't know as much about her. There's not as many highlights, but wait till you see what I do have for you here. But let's read first. An unshakable force in midfield. Seeger, and I'm probably pronouncing this wrong, racked up game after game for for club and country, collecting league and European titles along the way. A career characterized by a combination of longevity and leadership, the Swedish captain grew to earn well over 200 caps over an 18-year international career, being crowned the most capped player in European history. So she is listed as a CM. Obviously Iniesta as well. Both of them more attacking-minded CMs. Obviously Marcel's a left back, striker, Alice Morgan striker. The reason I want to go through that is because I'm not saying positions aren't important, but this year, thank goodness they made the change. They actually listened to us in EA Sports, took out all the nonsense where you'd have a player that could play, for instance, left mid but not left wing, or whatever the case is. But you better believe if they could play it in real life and it's realistic that they could play it, then they can play it in the game. They have several different positions now. The playstyles and playstyle pluses for each of the roles and role plus and role plus pluses, that's where you may or may not have those for all the different positions, right? Which, again, I wish they would get rid of that altogether, because players always use a ton of different roles throughout a game. It just depends on the situation. So it limits the players, obviously, because they want you to keep buying the newer players. But until then, at least the position thing sorted out. So I could see her being like a good cam or CM, but just check out this goal and you can get an idea of the type of player she is. So she's right here, right? So watch how she... Oh, no, sorry, she was right here. Sorry, I wanted to see her movement. I was watching the wrong blonde, of course. So watch her movement here. That's the striker. Do not pay attention to her. That's my fault. Watch where she comes from. Look, she comes from deeper in the midfield, right? Watch her movement. Oh, my goodness. The wrong blonde again. One more try. The third blonde's a charm. This is even better movement, right? I thought she was going to stay there and then check away, but watch what she does. She comes from almost like a number 6 role, sees the opening, and watch this. So after this, how that's going to translate, but she comes from way deep on the pitch, so I believe she's going to be one of those players that can play anywhere in the central midfield, from CDM to cam, box to box, a holding, deep line playmaker, whatever. Maybe not like Shadow Striker, but like a playmaker as a cam, or maybe not a cam, maybe just CM and CDM. That's just my guess. There wasn't much on her, but I could see her being a very good player. We'll have to see. Who knows if those other blondes that I talked about will ever be in the game either, but shout out to them. Man, there's a lot of blondes in Sweden. All right, so let's move on here. Totti, of course, another player that in this year of exploring other football games, I played with in eFootball. I had him in my squad. Very good player. Very diverse. Can either play as like an attacking mid or a striker typically. Obviously, it's good that they made the change where they didn't restrict the positions as much, because Totti is very diverse, and hopefully you can use him that way and he translates into the game with how good he was. So, the definition of a one-club man, which is brilliant in itself. Latavo Re di Roma, probably pronounced that wrong, rose from Roma's youth ranks to spend his entire career playing in the Giallorossi's iconic yellow and red strip. A homegrown talent, Totti led his team to several titles across 800 games in a 20-year captaincy. 20 years as captain, much less playing and going through the ranks, including a Serie A title, 2 Coppa Italia victories, and 2 Supercoppa Italian wins, netting over 300 goals in the process, right? Listed as a striker, I almost guarantee he can play cam as well. Let's look at Seeger's height real quick before we look at Totti. I'm calling like 5'8", 5'11", okay. No, wait a second. Is that the right one? Just look at a random Seeger. Caroline Seeger, hold on. That's like Bob Seeger's height. 5'9". Okay, I was right then. I think I said 5'9", but either way. So it could be a perfect deep line playmaker type. So we know how insane he is. These are some of his like best goals. But the way I can see him, shadow striker. I feel like he would be a perfect shadow striker. Now, look at a player like Roberto Baggio, though. Okay? Baggio, one of the best to ever play, and he never really translated. He had a few like special cards that were pretty decent, but he was never like that full meta player that he should have been. And his body type and everything fits the bill, but for some reason, EA Sports just failed at making him as impactful as he should have been, right? even remember the days when before the FC Pro scene had like restrictions on their squads, you never really saw Baggio, okay? So we'll see how Totti translates because he'll probably be like that controlled type of player based on his body type and everything. And we'll have to see. Again, this game has vastly improved from previous games, so I don't want to put too much weight on how previous games have been. If the game didn't change, if I was betting on previous games, I would say Totti's probably not going to be anywhere near as good as he should be. However, with the changes, I truly hope he becomes a dominant player. And even though he's listed as a striker, I could see him like the shadow striker position is built for a player like Totti. So let's hope that. I think he's like 5'11". Let's see. Totti height. 5'11". Yep. Perfect. So he's your definition of a controlled player. So his debut's 85, 89 for his champion card. So we'll have to see. I like that throwback with the dog on there. I love that way better, right? Dog, wolf, whatever it is. But anyway, moving on. Toni Kroos, the infamous high-rated fodder king, right? Everyone remembers for years you wanted to pack Kroos at the beginning of the game, but only because you wanted to use him as fodder. He was always way too slow. Now, I won't keep repeating it, but with the changes, maybe he can get his revenge for all those years of being unusable, because he did have some good special cards along the way where he kind of got his flowers there. But this could be amazing if his debut year as an icon, he becomes one of the best players in the game. I could see it, right? His initial card, 86 rated, 90, a more kind of like a more defensive version and more stronger, more defensively present version, I should say, of Xavi or an Iniesta, right? Because he has that brilliant vision, that brilliant passing, kind of like a Bellingham before Bellingham existed, but not as good as in the attack, I would say. That's just my opinion. But let's read what they have to say. A pillar of one of football's most iconic midfields, Kroos followed 3 Bundesliga titles at Bayern by dominating Europe with 4 La Liga titles and 4 UEFA Champions Leagues, lifting the trophy on 3 consecutive occasions at Real Madrid. One of Germany's most capped players with over 100 appearances, he topped the assist charts on the world stage in 2014, leading his country to a historic trophy lift. So you'll have his younger Bayern version, the 86 debut version, then, of course, his Real Madrid version, which is where he had the peak of his career, which is a 90 rated card. In case you don't know, looks like I messed up and didn't add it in here, so you better believe we're not skipping out on the Kroos highlights, by the way. Can't do it. We got to put it in there. He's just too good of a player that never has gotten his flowers up to this point in FC. And this is a big reason why. The title of this video, right? Master of Simplicity. It doesn't translate very well, but I think there's a rhyme and reason for him being added this year. I think there's a method to the madness from EA Sports because I think his type of play is finally going to be rewarded, right? Only time will tell, but this is his year to finally shine, and obviously the years to come. Look at that ball, man. Just beautiful stuff. I mean, this is what I mean by like him and Xavi and Iniesta and those type of players. They see stuff that other players don't see, and they have the capability of connecting passes that other players can't connect. So, if you start to see what he's capable of in game, and then you start to gain that Kroos-like vision or Xavi or Iniesta type vision because they're capable of connecting these insane passes, that's going to be awesome. So let's hope that is the case. That'll be really cool if he finally translates to being a great player in FC. And the man himself, again, I talked about earlier, the one goalkeeper I ever admired, even though I'm a Man U fan and we've had so many legend goalkeepers. It's not that I don't like them, but I'm a striker, so goalies were never like, oh man, he's awesome. But Khan was a different story. So I was always scared of Khan, right? I remember when his defenders would make mistakes, I felt bad for them. So again, seeing that video where he said boo and scared the guy, dude, that was so perfect. I love stuff like that. So nostalgic. And I'll take either version of these. And I'll never get another keeper. Just because I think he's going to dominate, and I think keepers are finally going to matter this year. I love that there's keeper evolutions, and having just Khan and goal, and I've been asking for this forever. Then finally getting to use him in eFootball, but having to leave because that game is terrible. And now having him in FC, the first year where like I was really just asking for him big time because of being able to use him in eFootball. I mean, that's crazy. I thought it could have been years. It could have never happened that he comes, and finally, it's like the best coincidence ever. Or maybe the football gods answer my prayer. So it says, Der Titan, between the sticks for well over a decade at FC Bayern. The Bundesliga title became routine for this German colossus. 6 German Cups and a UEFA Champions League win added to a well-stocked trophy cabinet. Kahn also took his talent to the world stage, earning the Golden Glove in 2002 after keeping 5 clean sheets throughout the tournament and becoming the first and only goalkeeper to take home the Golden Ball. The one thing that I remember where I didn't like it, right, I was rooting for him, I love Kahn, but of course I love R9, was when R9 did Germany dirty. They won 2-0 in 2002 to avenge their 98 loss, and seeing Kahn just devastated, that sucked. But 86, you see 91. I know Buffon was added last year. We have Van der Sar, Schmeichel, Czech, so many great keepers. Kahn isn't like your biggest keeper. He's not going to be your fastest. Well, you never know, they might. He's more of that stocky beast. You know, if strength was mattered, maybe it will eventually. He would be the strongest goalkeeper / player. Like Kahn goes into, a room with any guy, and it's one man comes out alive. He's the number 1 player in the game to come out alive. Put it that way. Or in real football too. That's how much I think of Kahn. And you'll see here. Let's check out some of these highlights. That's Kahn right there. Like, just doing crazy stuff. I hope they show some of it. He was just fearless. Just an incredible keeper. His 10 best saves. We're going to look at some of these in more depth. So you won't get like the rush out. At least not his initial card. But you never know, man. He was fearless coming off his line. I do see him getting far reach. I really hope so. He's obviously going to be great with his feet. I mean, look at this. Coming up and taking free kicks, I'm sure, the other keeper was on him. That other keeper, probably because they were trying to win the game towards the end. Okay, I'm officially on drugs. I apologize. Forget everything I just said. First, I thought Kahn, who that guy looked nothing like, I'm clearly not paying attention, was the guy taking the free kick. Then I thought it was the keeper from the other team, and I was just so wrong in all that. Look at this, though. You probably won't see that in the game, but just an insane keeper. So anyway, enough gushing over Kahn. It's just been a long time coming, and I can't believe he's in. Look at that intensity, that craziness. We got to fast forward and see the best save, though, don't we? Let's check it out. PK save, eh? But anyway, you get what I'm saying. Sorry for that blunder where I confused him for I think it was a black player from the other team. So way off there. But Oliver Kahn, legend. I truly hope. I know I'll get to use him eventually. But as bad as it would suck for a lot of people if I pack Kahn or get him on day 1 with my icon pick, I would not be disappointed. And Chiellini, 85-89 for his champion version. Now, Chiellini is an interesting one. I got to use his special cards a few years in a row, right before he fully retired. And he is fully deserving of the icon status, right? But then I remember he went to LAFC or somewhere in MLS, and they kept giving him some special cards. He had some really low gold cards too. He went through that little dip, kind of what Messi and Ronaldo were going through, right? And even his special cards that had great stats, great pace and everything, they didn't pan out, okay? So I don't have a very good feeling. Now, again, there's been a lot of changes. Maybe he will end up being like better than I'm thinking. But again, just a lot of times, for some reason, there's certain players where it's their body type or whatever the case is, it doesn't translate. Let's hope that changes. But for me, I did an SBC for him one time with insane stats. I forgot, I think it was 22. Might have been 23. And yeah, he was quickly out of the squad. So I'm going to erase that memory from my head. Let's hope he's as big of a beast in the game this year as he was in real life. And let's take a look at some of the best defensive plays from our man Chiellini. He'll definitely have like Bruiser Plus, Anticipate Plus, without a doubt. Aerial Plus, which is now different. I forgot. Now it's what? Not Enforcer. What is it? Aerial Fortress, I think it's called. Then the attacking one is like Bruiser Plus is for dribbling. Aerial Fortress is defensive. I forgot the attacking headers. But anyway, he could easily be one of the best center backs. I'm just saying, for me, he'll definitely have lower agility and stuff, guys. He won't be the best, like, as far as movement and stuff goes. But again, we have to see how that translates for this next game. But yeah, as you can see, just based on these highlights, which is another reason why I hate playstyles, he could have every one, and maybe he does. But he could have everyone as a playstyle plus even. And he clearly won't, especially in his debut. But I wish they would do more making these players play like their player ID. And the rest is up to us. Try to mimic their movements, and not make them so restrictive. But it is what it is. Chiellini's a beast. We'll see how it translates into the game. Now, a very sick striker that I did not know, and then I did a deep dive on after I saw he was coming in. So another South Korean striker, but he doesn't look like you think of the South Korean players that are excellent. They're more shifty, smaller. Not this man here. So let's read about him. I'm gonna mispronounce this. I apologize. But Chabum Kun, or Chabum Kun, whichever one of South Korea's all-time top goal scorers and a true Bundesliga icon. Cha lifted both domestic and European trophies with Frankfurt and Leverkusen, racking up over 300 appearances in Germany, earning the moniker Chaboom, which is a sick name, by the way. His net-busting strikes became legendary, so he's going to be like a power shot beast, I'm sure. Legendary with a scoring record just shy of hitting 100 goals. So, we do, believe it or not, have some good highlights. So it says Asia's King, best goals and skills. Let's check him out. I think he's a pretty tall player, too. We'll check that out after. Nice. It's going to be real grainy because obviously these are old days. But from what you can make out, you can see he's a bigger player. I'm calling like 5'11". There's a little bit more clear. So just a pretty big, powerful striker. Beast, and Son was still like in the Prem and stuff and not over in MLS. And maybe he could still have good enough stats. We'll see. Son's going to get some special cards and be crushing it in MLS. Messi will still probably get some. Let's see his height. Chabum Kun height. I know I'm mispronouncing. 5'10". So I was 1 inch off, but close. So his nickname was Chaboom, so maybe it's Chaboom Kun or Chaboom Kun. Who knows? Sissy, if you don't know her, she was like the rival to all the top national team players. Insane. She was the previous Marta. Small, compact. She's going to be insane on the ball, right? They always called her like the female Zico. And just picture that, and that's literally kind of how she played, right? So we'll read that. I was going to look at her height now, but we'll do that shortly. So in 1999, Sissy delivered on the biggest international stage. Her standout form at Palmeiras earned her a spot in the national team, something she repaid by scoring 7 goals and taking home the Golden Boot. She kicked off the tournament with a stylish hat-trick against Mexico that included 2 stunning free kicks as Pele watched on from the stands, which is pretty awesome. 85, only 88 overall for champion card. Same with Cha, by the way. And then Chiellini, 89. I know we checked this, 91 for Khan. So anyway, let's go check out some of her highlights, and then we'll look at her height. I believe she's only like 5'5", 5'6". Very thin, very tiny player, but unreal on the women's side of things. Let's check her out. Goalkeeping, by the way, but let's look at her height. So we'll probably put Sissy, Brazil, height. I already know she's 5'5". See, yeah, without a doubt she'll be an explosive player. I mark my words, I think she's going to be one of the best icons. Even though she's coming in a little lower rated, which is insane since it is relative to the women's side. Like, what did Alex Morgan get again? 91. Sissy should at least be a 90 then, right? Let's say Mia Hamm. Are all of them going to have debut, or only the ones we can get at the beginning? That's going to be the interesting part, too, by the way. Are the rest of the icons just going to have their one main icon that's released later on, maybe with these champion icons. They'll all only have champion. And then we'll have, obviously, the different icons in the promos. So we'll have to see how they do that. You never know. But for right now, we know we get a debut and a champion. Both would be very good to pick up, without a doubt. And then, of course, last but not least, is Steffi Jones. So, unfortunately for Miss Steffi Jones, let's take a look at her height. She doesn't have any highlights, right? She was a German national team women's defender, I believe. Let's see, played managed women's team, and she was Steffi Jones height 5'11". So interesting. Let's read what it says, and we'll check her out. So she's a center back, 5'11", though. That's very viable, right? An 85 and 89 rated center back. She could be a sleeper, guys. 3 consecutive European championships across 2 decades of football typify Jones's career. Typify? A reliable and hardy defender. She ended a storied international run with over 100 caps. Not even an ACL rupture. Been there, done that twice. Could halt her momentum, returning to secure a second Olympic bronze just months after recovery. So yeah, she ended up being a women's side manager, and she's well respected, but still very good. So we'll have to see. It will be interesting to see how Steffi Jones does. So there you have it. There are your icons. There's the full list of them there. Wait a second. What on earth am I looking at here? Hold on. They added in only Henri and Ronaldo, who have already been in the game. So you have the left winger Henri. It says 91 rated, but it has a picture from his younger days. Then you have the 92 rated Ronaldo. I love how they gave Iniesta the top rating with Ronaldo and Ibra. Very well deserved. That's cool to see. To be fair, Alex Morgan should have 92. Sissy should have at least 90. Totti probably. And then they added Gerrard too. Wait a second. Pre-order by August 26th to get a debut icon. Which they didn't say that before. I love how they added it. Of course, I'd still pre-order anyway. And this icon's still going to be sick from the start. But they added that. And notice they don't have the debut ratings on these players. They have the champion ratings. So, from a roster of 15, the debut icon will be available from early access launch, which will upgrade to a champion version in November. Okay, so it's the same thing they did with the hero, where they gave you a base hero. Then let me think about this. I think it was even later, but no, maybe it was November the same way, right? So basically September, 2 months, okay? I'm sure it will be late November. 2 months, and then you get the Prime version. So that's insane. And it's only out of 15, which I love, guys. They could have made it out of everybody. And there's plenty of regular icons that, we don't want, right? But I was trying to look real quick. I don't understand. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It says a roster of 15. Count these with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. What the hell? Who did they not add in here, guys? Plot twist. We all get freaking, who knows? The worst icon left. I don't even know all of them anymore. But this is only a list of 14. So it's going to be another already existing icon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Making sure I know how to count still, because this makes no sense. And then, so out of 14, 13, 12, 11. So there's 11 new icons. I'm assuming since they didn't put out the heroes, any new heroes, there are no new one pack. He's one of the players that they did dirty. Again, maybe Gerrard becomes a beast with the changes to the gameplay. And who knows who the 15th one will be. It'd be cool that maybe Mia Hamm, Abilene, who could it be? I'm sure I could see it being another women's player. Foudy maybe another player that could benefit from the changes in the game. Was pretty underrated, underutilized, box-to-box type of midfielder. Who knows who it will be, but that's only 14. It says out of a roster of 15, and they added 3 existing to the 11 new ones, which so far is R9, 92 rated, Henri 91, and Gerrard 89 rated. So you'll get the base version, and then in November it will go up to this Champions version. So if I'm rating in this order out of the 14, so obviously it says roster 15, we only see 14. I'm going number 1 who I want to pack. Only because I haven't used Ibra, so I don't know. I have a feeling he's going to be OP. His special cards that I got to use early, like 22 and or so. Maybe it was 23 and 22. But either way, they're always sick. But because I haven't played with him, I'm going to go R9, the number 1 player I want to pack. And I'm sure everybody does, even though he's not new. Number 2, I'm going to go with the crazy one. I'm going number 2 who I'd want to pack, Alex Morgan. Alex Morgan, dude. Just because I know she's going to be ridiculous. I think she's going to be another Sophia Wilson type of player who's in the beta. And even though I can't talk about the beta, you see in all the leaks, you know, her Team of the Week card that's in the beta, she's ridiculous. And I think Morgan's going to be like a level above that or at least equal to that. Better than Mia Hamm, I believe. So Alex Morgan's my number 2 behind R9. My number 3, I'm still not going Ibra. My number 3 player I want to pack out of this, Henry. Henry's my number 3. My number 4, Ibrahimovic. 4th player I want to pack is Ibra. Now, you never know. He could easily be so sick, I move him to number 1. I get that. But just out of reading a tidbit from real life stuff that I know, seeing highlights, which I already know about, I can only go with like their size and how I think they're going to translate with the new game, not even the game that we just played a lot of, right? So the rest of these are pure guesses. Gerard, I'll put down there, like I don't know the 15th player. Gerard, I'll put at 14. And again, I could end up being wrong. He could end up being sick now with the changes. But for now, I have to go with 14 there. So if Ibra's 4, number 5, I'm going to go ahead and put an asterisk by it too. Khan, I'd love to pack. I love Khan. I want him as my keeper, and as soon as I get him, I'll never change. Just that, you know, because, like I told you. But because he's a keeper, I'll take him out. So we'll go ahead and put him at like 13. So we need 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. 7 more ratings. So number 5, behind Ronaldo, Alex Morgan, Henry, then Ibrahimovic. I'm going to go with Sissy. And I probably did her dirty. She's a little bit lower rated. But nonetheless, I think her body type and everything, like I said with the OP players, I think the women are really going to shine this year, certain ones. She isn't the most strong, so I guess that defends me putting her at like that number 5. After that, we're going to go with Totti, who I think can be an insane shadow striker, Cam, if he can play it. He's listed as a striker. I'm sure he can, though. Then after Totti, we're going to go with, just because I had bad experience with Chiellini, even though he could be 6 center back, and Jones at 5'11" could be. I'm going to go with Seeger after that. Again, probably pronouncing that wrong. It could be Sager or Seiger or whatever spell. Say Seeger. Then Cruz. Then it's almost like a coin flip. Jones and Chiellini, who knows how they're going to be. Cha could be good, could be a bust. So after that, it's really, you know, a coin flip. I think Seeger's going to be kind of like a Julie Foudy. But yeah, those are the top ones, though. Those top 4 or 5. R9, Alex Morgan, Thierry Henry, Ibrahimovic. I didn't really throw Iniesta in there because I want him to be insane. But if he's anything like Xavi, then he's just going to be a waste. So we'll have to see. But those top 4 would be insane, I'm sure, for anybody. You can even throw Totti and Sissy in there as 2 that I'd be super stoked to get. And the rest, we'll just have to see. But a great class, right? It's pretty insane that for the first year, I decided to kind of dive deep into the other football games. And in the process, playing eFootball, I got to use Khan for the first time and Totti for the first time, right? And then it just so happens to work out where the very next iteration where I'm back in FC, we get both Khan and Totti. And of course, like the other players, Cruyff, Baggio, we already have them here. Players like Ruminage, who's the other one? Forgot the Ruminage. There's another player that was in like a pack with him. Romario. That would be awesome to have him at FC. Like there's certain players over in eFootball that they don't have. York, Cole, Andy Cole. Who else do they have? Costa Curta, Batistuta. Oh, man, you could go on and on. eFootball has a lot more in there, I will say. They hit the mark better than FC, typically speaking. Let's see if that changed, right? Many things have changed for the better. So far, the players look very, very good based on all the leaks in the beta. So we'll just have to see. But very good class either way. I'd like to see more of these, you know, I would call them more hometown hero type icons added. I think it's just, you know, icons are always fun to use, fun to pack. Giving these historic players their flowers now is pretty cool. As long as you do the due diligence to study them and really pay them correct homage by making them true to life as best you can, right? Right? Like, if you know they're not going to translate, like many of the icons so far haven't, then it's just almost like a gimmick. Because that's not really, you know, player X, Y, and Z who's a hero or icon when no one wants them because they're so bad how they translate. They're just in there for their name. Who knows why EA Sports would do that, but it's kind of a joke because you know these players should be top players in these squads. And let's hope that all these players are utilized fully and they can live up to that iconic name on the sticks just like they did in real life, right? Time will tell, though. If more heroes are announced, you'll see the whole breakdown here. Let me know who your favorites are. Make sure, by the way, right, I want to make sure to go to this real quick. Make sure that if you don't join my Discord, you are ready to get organized in FC26, okay? There's more modes than ever, right? There's more modes than ever with the addition of gauntlets, tournaments, right? Even if you're in lower divisions and don't typically make rivals, right? Or sorry, champions. There's now challengers. Even though I think most in this community will probably either hit champs right off the bat, or if they're newer coming from eFootball and stuff, which we have members like that, they'll be at challengers at first and quickly go up to champs. But either way, we're covering everything from players you should buy to shouldn't, when you should sell players so you don't lose coins, consumables you can stock up on to flip and turn to coins, any restrictions for tournaments and different stuff like that, any squad checks where we can help you strengthen your team out, SBCs you should do and shouldn't do, same with evolutions, just everything that can overwhelm you or where you can get behind. We are going to be posting and updating 24/7 because we have players from all around the world. So yes, it's cost. It's $2.99 a month, but you won't get this value anywhere else, and it will be worth its weight in gold because it's for FC26 and beyond. So we are absolutely a team looking to help each other reach our full potential. I just wanted to point this out. At least look into it or prepare to be organized in some way, shape, or form so you can go on the pitch and worry about that and dominate on the pitch and then have everything off the pitch set, right? You don't want to punish yourself by having a worse team because you keep making mistakes off the pitch, right? And that's where this channel, this Discord, whatever, this headquarters for OGFC can really help you out. Not to mention, if you like any of the perks with early content, we do also have benefits for YouTube members. I also offer 1v1 coaching if you're ever interested in that. And we're just going to keep having fun at this game, trying to play our very best. We put a lot of time in, so we better make it worth our while. Let me know which icons you like, and I'll see you on the next one. Keep training. Keep checking out the content, right? It's worth the practice because you don't want to be shell-shocked, missing out on chances to get rid of your bad habits. Because if you come in with the same way you played FC25 and thinking, oh, FC26 will be the same, just different kits, you're dead wrong. And I provided you with ways where you can tweak FC25 if you didn't get the beta, so you can keep playing, but also sharpen up in a way that will help you in 26. So check those videos out if you haven't. See you on the next one. Peace.